When you think of the word income, what's the first words that come to mind? Do you think of, I want a safe, secure job with benefits? Or do you think of, I want to be my own boss? Or do you think of, I want to build a business? Or do you think of, I want to invest my money so that my money works hard for me? Well, there's really 4 different ways for you to generate income in any economy. Well, today we're going to talk about those 4 different income streams. Robert Kiyosaki, in my opinion, one of the most profound investors, business leaders, and teachers of our times, several years ago wrote a book entitled The Cash Flow Quadrant. Now, in this book, it goes into deep detail about these 4 different types of incomes. It talks about how each income is generated, and it also goes into deep detail about the words that guide these different incomes. And I thought it'd be a good idea, instead of listening to me talk about it, you listen to the man himself. Take it away, Robert.
A very important diagram my rich dad showed me when I was a little boy was a diagram known as a cash flow quadrant. And the quadrant is made up of the 4 different people who make up the world of business. So my rich dad said, in the world of business, there's E's, and E's stand for employees. An employee, he says, you can always tell who they are by their core values. And what the employee, whether the president or the janitor of the company, will always say the same words. The words are, I'm looking for a safe, secure job with benefits. That's what makes them an employee, because their core values are security. The other one of the 4 is the S, or the small business owner or the self-employed. And again, their core values will cause them to use the same words, which are, if you want it done right, do it by yourself. S means they're also solo. They're generally one-person act, or they operate by themselves. On the right side of the quadrant are the B's. And what Rich Dad said the B stood for was big business, or like Bill Gates. Forbes defines big business as 500 employees or more. And their words are different. They say, I'm looking for a good system, a good network, and the smartest people I know to help run my business. So they're unlike the S. They don't want to run the company by themselves. They want smart people to run their companies for them. And then the 4th of the quadrant is the I, and I stands for investor. These are people who have money work hard for them. These people are people who have people work hard for them. And these are the people that work hard for the rich here. So early on in my life, it was my poor dad who always said to me, you know, Robert, go to school and so get a high-paying job. And so my poor dad's core value was to be an employee. He wanted job security, promotions, a steady paycheck, and all this. And so it was my rich dad who said to me, he says, you know, Robert, if you really want to be rich, learn to build businesses. It made more sense to him to work hard to build a business, something you owned and something you could pass on for generation to generation to your kids. Whereas my poor dad said, work hard, but my rich dad said, why would you work hard for something you'll never own and you can get fired from right away? Again, that was the difference in values. So my rich dad suggested I learn how to be a business owner and learn how to be an investor. And that's one of the big differences. On this side of the quadrant, these people here work for security. They work for money also. On this side over here, their key value that they want is they want freedom. They don't want to have to work at a job anymore. They don't want to have to work for the rest of their lives. So the beauty of building a business and learning how to invest is very simply that this is passive income. You work hard for a few years, but possibly for the rest of your life, income keeps flowing to you.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into this cash flow quadrant that Robert was talking about. Okay, let's begin in the E section of the quadrant, which is the employee section. In this section, you have a job. Okay, you have a job. The interesting thing about this section is you have no leverage. What that means is the amount of active work determines your income. In other words, you're trading time for money. Okay, and 5% of the wealth is in this section of the quadrant. All right, let's go down to the section right below that, which is the self-employed section, or the S section. In this section, you own a job. And you're in the same situation that the employee was in, is you have no leverage. You're still trading time for money. And 95% of the population is in this section of the quadrant. Now let's go to the right side of the quadrant and let's begin at the business owner, or the B section of the quadrant. In this section, you own a system, okay? And you also have leverage. What that means is income does not depend on active work, okay? Why? Because people within the system work with you and the system generates income. And 95% of the wealth is in this section of the quadrant. Okay, now let's go below that section to the investor section of the quadrant, or the I section. In this section of the quadrant, you own investments and you still have leverage because of those investments. Why? Because your investments in assets works for you and it generates an income. And 5% of the population is in this section of the quadrant. Here's another interesting fact. On the E and S side of the quadrant, this section pays the most in taxes. On the B and I section of the quadrant, it pays the least in taxes. Now, the questions you should be asking yourself right now are the following. In which section of the quadrant do I exist in right now? And what section of the quadrant do I want to exist in the future? The answers are tied to your vision. Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to listen to Little On Me. It may be wise for you to look at two previous videos that we did, one on money is an idea, not a currency, and the other one on vision. It'll add some additional clarity to our discussion today. And guys, if you could subscribe to our channel, we're looking to get our subs up as much as possible so we can continue to bring you good content to help you look at life from a wise perspective. Guys, we're in a plethora of social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Rumble, and Parler, just to name a few. And you know, when I come to you, I'm gonna look fresh, cold, clean in my ice cold dream. You see that thing, holla at your partner.